Hey there! Welcome to our video on how to play Money Smarts, a game that's all about boosting your confidence in managing money and exploring different paths to financial success. If you're unboxing the game for the very first time, we'll show you how to organize the purchase box. If you've already done that, you can skip ahead to the second part of the video to learn how to set up the game, or the third part to learn how to play. Let's start by organizing the purchase box. Before your first game, you'll need to sort the item, activity, and job cards using dividers. Once that's done, you can keep everything in the box and you won't have to reorganize it ever again. After each game, simply return the purchase box to the main box with all the cards and dividers still inside. Just follow these steps. Grab the item deck and the 5 blue dividers. Look at the bottom of each item card to find its category icon. Place the sports divider in the purchase box and put all the sports cards behind it. For example, the new bicycle card goes behind the sports divider. Repeat this process for the other item categories, then move on to the activity cards with the 4 green dividers. You can use the purchase list to arrange all the categories in the right order. Finally, sort the job cards. These are not sorted by category, but rather by the number of experience points they give, as indicated on the top left of each card. At the end of this setup, your purchase box should look like this. Now that your purchase box is organized, we're ready to set up the game. First, place the main board right in the center of the table. Next, grab the 16 victory badges and place them on their corresponding spaces. There are 2 badges of each type, so you can stack one on top of the other. Place the time marker on the starting circle of the timeline. The orange circle in the middle of the board represents your community. Shuffle the community event deck and place it face down on its corresponding space in this area. Then, place the 2 community goals on the corresponding space in the community area. Make sure Community Goal 1 is on top of Community Goal 2, with the black side facing up. Set aside the end of round reminder card and the victory badges reminder cards. Store the community tokens and want tokens off to the side of the main board. If this is your first time playing, divide the bills into their 4 categories and place them in their corresponding slots in the game box. This is now the bank. You can choose one player to be the banker, or just go with the second youngest player. Now, place the purchase box with the item, activity, and job cards on the side of the game board. Remember not to shuffle these cards, since they're sorted by category. After playing, make sure to put all the cards back behind the correct dividers to keep things organized for your next game. Separate and shuffle the event and personal goal decks and place them next to their corresponding spaces on the main board. Divide the trivia question cards into easy and difficult levels. Shuffle each deck and place them next to their corresponding spaces. Finally, give the first player token to the youngest player. This token is used to keep track of when a full round has been played. Great! Now that the main board is all set, let's move on to each player's personal setup. First, grab a personal board for yourself. Randomly pick a part-time job card from the purchase box, and then slide it under your board a bit, just like this. Like all the cards you'll acquire in the game, don't worry if they're partially hidden. You'll still have all the information you need. Next, grab one $500 bill and one $100 bill and keep them both in your bank account area. Take 2 want tokens. If playing with 3 players, each player takes 2 community tokens. Otherwise, each player takes 1 token. Draw 3 personal gold cards. Choose your favorite, place it here on your board, and return the other 2 to the bottom of the deck. Then, choose a pawn. In Money Smarts, there's no starting space, so you can place your pawn wherever you like on the path of the main board. Awesome! Now you're all set to start playing Money Smarts. In this section, we're gonna dive into the rules and get you started on your very first game. The goal of the game is to earn experience points, represented by icons you'll find on various game components. If you manage to accumulate the most experience points in a specific category, like trivia question cards or community tokens, you'll be awarded the victory badge for that category at the end of the game. For example, having the most experience points in the trivia questions category awards you the Scholar badge. The player with the most badges wins, so try to collect experience points across different categories to improve your chances. Throughout the game, goals will shape your choices and actions. First up is the main goal, which is the same for every player and is printed on everyone's personal boards. To complete this goal and earn experience points, players need to own or rent a house or apartment, as well as have a pass or a license. Next, we have the personal goals that you selected during setup. In my case, my goal is to become a photojournalist. I need to fulfill 2 conditions to achieve this goal and earn 6 experience points. Note that it is not mandatory to complete goals, but it can make you win the Achiever badge, which counts for 2 badges at the end of the game. Now, let's dive into the gameplay itself. The youngest player takes the first player token and starts the game. Each player completes their turn one at a time. Here's how a turn unfolds. First, check the community section in the center of the board. The community goals offer significant advantages to all players if completed. To unlock the first goal, you need to collect a total of 8 community tokens. Once you collectively have these 8 tokens, flip the card and its benefits will apply to everyone until the game ends. You can then start collecting more tokens to unlock the second goal. Note that all players keep their tokens when they complete a community goal. Next, roll the dice and move your pawn accordingly. If you're not happy with the roll, you can spend the want token to move your pawn to any of the next 6 spaces. Once you're on a space, perform the corresponding action. Here are the different spaces you can land on. When you land on an activity space, you can choose to purchase any activity card from any category. Remember, you can only buy 1 card per turn. Simply pick an activity card from the purchase box, pay its price, and then add it to your personal board. Same goes for the item spaces, on which you can purchase cards from the items categories. If you land on a double space, you get to choose which type of card to take. Some activity and item cards have a shared box, which allows you to split the cost of the card with another player. If the other player agrees to buy the same card, find the identical one in the box and give it to your buying partner. Both of you will need to pay the amount specified in the orange shared box. Job spaces work just like the other spaces, but with a special twist. When you pass by a job space, you can choose to stop your pawn on it, regardless of your dice roll. Let's say my pawn is here and I roll a 5. I can either move 5 spaces ahead or stop on the job space in between. When you land or stop on a job space, you can select any job from the job cards. Just remember that some jobs may have specific requirements. After paying for the necessary training, add the card to your personal board. You can have multiple jobs during the game, but you can only receive the salary of one job at a time, unless you have 2 part-time jobs. Always keep your previous jobs under the new one to earn their points at the end of the game. If you're too short on funds to buy a card, don't worry. At any point in the game, you can add credit bills to your personal board to cover the difference. Let's say I want to become a journalist, but I only have $2,000 in my bank account. The training for this card costs $4,000, so in this case, I'd pay $2,000 to the bank and take 2 credit bills, each worth $1,000. But remember, you'll have to repay your credit bills with interest when the time marker lands on credit payment. When you land on a trivia question space, choose the difficulty level you prefer. Forest level questions are easy and earn you 1 experience point, while mountain level questions are more challenging, but worth 2 experience points. The player to your left will draw a card of your chosen difficulty and read it aloud. If you answer incorrectly, the card is discarded and your turn ends. However, if you answer correctly, place the card on your personal board. You will earn its points at the end of the game. You can also decide at that moment to move your pawn to any space within the next 2 spaces and continue your turn. For example, if my pawn is here and I answer correctly to your question, I can decide to move it here to the item spaces and buy a new card if I want to, without waiting for my next turn. Event cards present choices and unexpected situations during your financial journey. When you land on an event space, the player to your left draws an event card and reads the scenario aloud. You'll need to choose one of the options and apply its corresponding effect. The reader must reveal the effect only after the player has made their choice. When you land on a trading space, select one of the 2 options listed on the bottom right of the main board. You can either trade, sell, or buy an item with another player, earning both of you a community token. Or draw a community event card, read it aloud, and follow the instructions. These cards usually benefit all players and are always positive. Trivia and event cards may allow you to move your pawn again and continue your turn. When you can no longer move due to card actions, your turn ends, and the next player begins theirs. The game consists of 8 rounds, marked by the 8 circles of the circular timeline on the main board. When all players have completed their turns and it's once again the turn of the player holding the first player token, the round ends and a new one begins. Move the time marker forward on the timeline. Each player must now follow these steps in order. For the initial rounds, we suggest having a player read out the end of round reminder card to everyone. First, receive your salary, as indicated on your current job card. In my case, as a journalist, I earn $3,000. Next, pay any fees on the cards you own, if applicable. In this example, I have to pay $700 for my shared apartment, but none of my activity cards require any fees. Therefore, I only have to pay $700 in fees for this round. The next step depends on which circle of the timeline the time marker lands on this round. If it lands on tax time, you must pay your taxes, which is the amount specified under your salary. For instance, as a journalist, I have to pay $1,000. If the time marker lands on credit payment, you must repay all the credit bills you owe, including interest. In my case, I have 2 credit bills in my bank account, so I need to pay $2,400 to the bank. That is, 2 times $1,200. Once I've made the payment, I can remove the credit bills from my board. But be careful, if you can't repay all your credit bills at this time, you'll have to sell items at the price you bought them in order to have enough to cover your credit payments. And keep in mind that at the end of the game, before counting points, you must repay all your remaining credit bills. Once all players have completed these steps, a new round begins. The player with the first player token starts their turn again, and the cycle continues until the game ends. The game ends after 8 rounds, but you can decide to adjust the duration if you like. You can make it 6 rounds or 10 rounds. Just remember to complete the final credit payment before ending the game. There are 8 victory badge categories, each representing a different type of experience. At the end of the game, calculate the experience points you've earned in each category. The player with the most experience points in a category earns the corresponding badge. You can refer to the Victory Badges reminder card for a description of each badge. If there's a tie in any category, award a Victory Badge to both players. If the tie involves more than 2 players, award one of the remaining Victory Badges from any category with no tie. Let's say I have 10 experience points from my goals, 6 from my personal goal of becoming a photojournalist, and 4 from my main goal, since I'm renting an apartment but didn't get a pass or license. Since I have the most experience points, I earn the Achiever Badge, which counts as 2 badges. Including my activity and job badges, I now have a total of 4 badges. However, another player has 5 badges in total, so they win the game. In case of a tie, the player with the most trivia experience points wins. That's it. You now have all the info you need to start playing Money Smarts. If you have any questions during the game, you can always refer to the rulebook. We hope you enjoy the game and learn to improve your financial well-being along the way.